Good evening, everybody. I call the Development Review Board meeting of January the 22nd to order. The weather, I think, has affected some members of the board. We are expecting two more, but we're going to proceed anyway with some caveats. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrative decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. What this broadly means is that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the Environmental Court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony. At its hearing, we'll look at the evidence from our hearings, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and decision of this board. Only interested persons that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board. So I strongly encourage all of you to speak up tonight at this hearing. As we are on the record, we are also going to ask that you affirm that your testimony will be truthful. So would the applicants and anyone wishing to speak to an application please affirm the following. If you could stand and affirm the following. Thank you. I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury. I do. Thank you very much. So this is where we have an opportunity for some consideration. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed in an application. That is 4 votes out of 7. If we do not have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. Now, at this point in time, we only have 4 people here. So you need a unanimous decision of those present to for your application to succeed. Clearly, we would consider a request by any of the 3 applicants that we have tonight to continue to the next meeting, where we might have more, well, we should have more board members. We may, by the time we get to hear your application, have 2 more, but it's now 10 after, so possibly not. And at this point, I don't know, but I'm going to ask in a second whether any member of the board has to recuse themselves for conflicts of interest or ex parte communications. If that's the case, then for a particular hearing or application, then we can't hear it anyway, because we would be less than a quorum. So think about that for a moment until I call you, and maybe you'd like to have your application heard, or maybe you'd like to continue. It's up to you, and we'll consider your request if you should wish to do that. Anyway, so that being said, after taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, which is the written decision that controls any timeline for appeal. So should anyone wish to appeal our decision, or any interested party wish to appeal our decision, it's 45 days from the point that the written decision is issued. Finally, it should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, the town attorney, or any other town department will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant or other interested parties. So that's just to say that we treat information from the town and town departments with equal weight to that from an applicant or anyone else with an interest in an application. So that being said, let's do this in not the normal order, but Brian, could you confirm that the meeting has been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Would any member of the board wish to disclose conflicts of interest or ex parte communications relating to these applications? No, that's good. Finally, just the last administrative task is we have minutes from our December meeting, December the 16th, to approve. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of December 16th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, changes, inaccuracies, updates to those minutes? There being none, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. 400. Thank you. So now I'll open the public hearing. Call application 2013-156. Do we have anybody from New England Circus Arts here tonight? Okay. This is an application that has been continued 2 times or 3 times? Twice.
Yes, twice.
At this point, we will let that application lapse.
I'll rewarn that, Tim, when the applicant has their new site plan done.
Correct. Thank you. Call application 2013-230, MPR Properties. Hi there. Please come forward to the table. Tell us about your site plan.
Let's see. Mark Bono, MPR Properties.
Now, just so I remember correctly, you came to us before.
Yes.
And we did not site plan with you, but we gave you permission or approval, clearance to move ahead with your structural parts of converting the buildings, right?
Yes.
Okay, and come on in. We have 4 people here. That's okay. Thank you. The chair apologises for the absence of the vice chair, who appears to have commitments that take him outside of this meeting. And that so tonight we're not reviewing, or we're not looking at what you need to do or want to do with the building. We're just looking at the site plan.
Yes.
Okay, good. That was my recollection of it anyway. So I'm checking that you're in agreement that that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So basically what we're looking at, we were, since it's going from a garage to a retail property, without adding pavement or any footprint to the building, we saw an opportunity to put additional parking in front of the building. Prior, there were 6 spaces in front of each of the garage bays that were approved, and since that is all now sidewalk and open structure, we figured we would put parking spaces in front of there with adequate handicap and all that fun stuff. The one thing there were like 4 arborvitaes in where this dotted line is in the I guess in the westernmost portion of it. There was basically a bit of a planting there that made it really kind of a hindrance to get in and out of the parking lot. I've contacted the state and spoke with Brian McAvoy finally after going through a couple of different people, and he said his only stipulation was to put a no left-hand turn sign at the exit of that, so that it wouldn't cause, any kind of traffic accidents out there.
Okay, so you're talking about the entrance, this entrance from Putney Road into what is signed as a storm drain. That entrance there?
Right here.
In the middle?
Yeah. No, this one right here.
The one where the arrow is?
Yeah, where the arrow is, where the north pointing arrow is.
You see the arrow on the bottom line.
Okay.
The other arrows are just indicating storms, like water runoff.
Oh, the other arrows are they're not indicating circulation. So, okay, so all right.
So we haven't changed the curb in at all. We just that area there where the arborvitaes were. Basically made it a hard left turn. No trucks could kind of get in. Made it a bit of a hindrance to kind of get in the property.
So is there this dotted line here? There's a dotted line running on this parking here. That's a curve, right, from the sidewalk here.
Yeah, that's not a curve, that was the plantings.
Okay.
And then these dotted lines here where the old parking was.
Okay. And that's
So-
being removed.
Yeah, that's being removed, and then we're putting the parking spaces along the route.
So let me ask you, is this a, I'm not sure what the scale is here, but we're looking at a 100-foot curb cut or something? Is it open all the way?
No, it stops, it's basically Sandries is right here. So we haven't increased the curb cut at all, the curb cut's there. The curb cut's existing to Putney Road.
Where does the curb cut? The curb cut happens at this arrow down here. It's a standard 30-foot curb cut.
This right here is the median, is the state-owned median right here. This right here that's grass median with curbings. That's all position. And so the curbing is like right there.
Oh, so your curb cut's here.
Yeah, it's
So someone will pull in here like this,
Yeah.
and then they've got access to this entire site.
Yes.
And what was here was
Just arborvitae's and
What's that plant?
pressure treated lumber.
all right.
But it made it like basically an antenna we were talking to, they were just like, why is that there? Couldn't answer the question. When I spoke to the state, they said they had a problem with removing that as far as traffic flow.
So somebody leaving this, how would you, if you were parked here and leaving, how would you leave?
So you back out here and either if you were taking a right-hand turn, you take this right. Or if you take a left-hand turn, you go down, this here is an 11-foot access. That's state owned.
Yeah.
There's nothing at all across here. There's a light over a line across this property.
Okay, and the state has asked that you do not make a left here.
Yes.
So everything is going to go right. So this is in essence one way.
No, coming out onto Putney Road, this is Putney Road, so.
So you could come out here.
Yes, onto Putney Road. There's a breakdown.
I thought that was always one way in there, Mark.
What's that?
I thought that was always one way in and you couldn't come back out that kind
That's
of.
originally, yeah, that's what they, that's what they had asked for, but when I spoke with Brian McCoy, he said as long as there's not a left-hand turn out of there.
So you're wishing to change it to a not one way?
I guess so, yeah, that was with the state, and like they said I didn't have to do a permit, any sort of special permit with the state if I wasn't changing the curbing.
Is that wide enough for two-way traffic?
Very, yeah, there's plenty wide for that. It's as wide, it's as wide as the entrance on the other side, in front of
Yeah,
H&R
side-by-side
Block,
vans.
at least.
So then, in terms of site circulation, to come down, we have parking in front of your, what used to be the old bays. Some of that is handicap parking, is it?
There's a handicap space pointed out, if you can read it. It's very small on the 11 by 17. It's
How many handicap spaces?
My Mark Rubio moment. I got to go for my water. Sorry.
I don't recall, I think two.
Small writing.
we kept the handicap space basically where it is in the drawing. If there's suggestions or if you want to see a handicap space in another spot, we certainly could do that as well. But it's basically, we kept the handicap space where it was, which is right, I believe it's right here.
Is it on the end of the building, Mark?
No, it says new ADA handicap. It's right next to the 4x4 planter, right here. It's just where it was.
So that was an existing ADA ramp?
The ramp we put in on the building itself, on the sidewalk itself. There's actually one on either end. There's a ramp on either end.
Which of the bays that are designated handicap? The two extreme on the corner, or
No, it's this. Well, we could do that certainly if you'd like. This is just the one that was existing, and this is just what our architect had drawn on here.
I'm missing the designation of it.
It's right here.
Even with my glasses,
I know.
I'm missing the designation.
Right there. Right there. Just new ADA.
Oh, okay. So it's across the other side. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not adjacent to the building.
Yeah, it's just where it was before.
I think that needs to move.
Okay.
The
Absolutely.
normal thing would be to move it somewhere close to the entrance of the building and close to the ramp if there is a ramp necessary.
Absolutely. My intention was to.
So you could
here.
put a handicap space there.
Absolutely.
I actually would have thought if the idea of a handicapped space is to get somebody as near as possible to an entranceway, then you would want to have them right in the middle.
Unfortunately, the ramps aren't in the middle.
Oh, the ramps,
No.
okay, I see.
So
All right.
the ramps are on either end.
All right.
So let's do. There's a ramp at the other end.
Yeah, there's a paved to the top of that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have 20 plus spaces around this building? Is that correct?
We're looking to have 24 to 30. Is that correct?
Yeah, the others on the other side of those were there prior. We're adding like.
Are they your? The other parking spaces are. These are associated with your property? Or
Yeah, this
building?
is all everything that's drawn on here is part of this property.
All right, I'll come back to that in a second. Talk to me about the landscaping that you're doing here.
We're going to be putting shrubs in front of the building itself.
So you've
And-
got a planter on the Putney Road side,
Yes.
which has got, what does it have in it?
What did I put down there? I believe we put boxwoods down there is what we're going to put in.
Okay. And then on the other side of the property, which is adjacent to the handicap space, you've got
Honey-
a planter there.
Honey locust? Yeah. We're just looking for something that could live in that type of spot and kind of copy the town and they have.
And the sign is existing, right?
The freestanding sign.
That's
Yeah.
existing?
Yeah. We have nothing on it right now. It's just that's where Monroe Muffler had their existing sign.
And now, is there in terms of circulation and traffic flow, does this go onto the adjacent lot
Back here?
at the back of the lot?
Yes.
Is that a normal method of entering the lot from the back there, or that just happens to connect?
That's just all. It's two different lots, but it's always kind of plowed and dealt with as one lot.
And you don't own the adjacent lot, do you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's a different corporation, different development.
Different development corporation, so. And what happens where you have the honey locust and a raised bed there? What happens in front of behind the other 4 spaces there?
Well, that used to be a drive-through back when it was Service Credit Union. There's actually like a driveway that goes between the two, the next building over and those parking spaces. There was a drive-through way back when. So there's like a driveway width between the next building and those.
And what's happening with your stormwater on this site? Is that because there was some notes from before that the stormwater drains weren't?
We had that. We had the one drain that the town that Public Works had addressed. We patched. We took out like a wide swath around it and shimmed it up. It drains properly now. We had Manning come in and fix that
Fix it.
storm drain.
Right, what's the parking requirement on the site? So this is calculated by square foot or by number of businesses?
It's
Staff note
by
is
square
18.
feet.
18?
And it says the applicant is asking for more than 10% above the standard number must justify additional parking. Reference to the proposed use.
Okay. What's the what are the total number of parking spaces you're proposing? 20,
I'm sorry?
27? The total number of parking spaces?
I don't have
proposing.
that number on me. I can count
Can we just
them out
count
here.
it? Well, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you've got 20 around the building, by the looks of it, possibly 21. And then 8, is it 8 across the other side?
Across the front of the building, or you mean the Putney
No,
Road side of
across,
the building?
across the, what would be the
Next to the hair
northern
salon.
side?
Near the
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah, that's
LVH.
those are all existing. Those have been. We haven't added any.
Do you need? Well,
We haven't added any pavement to the property. Basically, we're just utilizing in front of the garage. The only thing we're changing is the.
Well, what's changed is you've added all the parking in front of the bays.
Right.
That's a change. So
Right.
you've increased parking from whatever it was before by a total of 4, 8, 12, 16 spaces. Those in front of the bays.
Okay. I think the 18 is not including the 6 in front of the building that were previously permitted. I'm not sure, but I know that each bay had a parking space in front of it as a permitted parking space. So
Okay. Do you need that much parking? I mean, is it?
it helps. We are pretty tight in there between the two properties. Basically, when we've gotten permits in the past, in order to get H&R Block and certain, there's those come tax time. Certainly, all those parking spaces are used. There's just times of the year when we have businesses that operate as 1-for-1 as employee customer ratio.
So do you? I mean, you're considering the parking requirement as a whole site, including the adjacent property, rather than that just services this development?
In the past, for the other property, we've been asked to use both as the parking requirement, because the other one's definitely short.
So is there
Just
some
the way
sort
it's
of
laid out.
agreement between the properties, even though you own them?
I'm sorry?
Is there some sort of agreement between the two properties?
Well,
Parking
we own. Yes,
on
yeah.
paper?
I basically, if there's ever a problem, I politely request the employees to park in certain areas so that we save for customers the prime parking spaces in front of the businesses.
I mean, our consideration as a board here is sort of, there is, first of all, we like to minimise the amount of blacktop there is, or impervious surface. Secondly, we don't really like to approve excess parking if it's not necessary. And there's a prescription in the zoning code that refers to the number of businesses or the number of dwellings or the number of the square footage of a building that defines the appropriate amount of parking on any given site. Generally speaking, unless there's justification that the applicant can give for exceeding the prescribed amount, we limit it at the prescribed amount. And I think at this point I'm guessing you're at least 8 above.
Okay.
What you're saying is that the 8 here in the middle is utilized by the adjacent businesses.
When I looked at the old site plan, there were, I believe there were 24 parking spaces approved for this site, not 18, which I'm a little confused with. I've got a feeling that the things that were not counted were the parking spaces approved in front of the garage spaces, because they weren't actually they were. It says on the site plan, 6 parking spaces, but it doesn't actually have striped parking spaces on the actual site plan.
Was the zoning code different? Do we know? I mean, that was,
I don't know, but it has to conform to the site plan standards that are in existence now.
right. Right now, the current for that building is 18 spaces. It's 1 space per 250 square
Oh, okay.
feet.
I understand.
So the current code is 18 spaces for that building.
Mhm.
And the adjacent property or adjacent business, you say is short?
Oh,
There's
very much so.
There's inadequate parking?
Yeah.
Well, we don't happen to know that. We don't happen to know the figures on the adjacent property.
No, I don't.
Mark, do you know how many spaces there are on the other side, on the building?
Offhand, I don't.
Walking in?
I don't, offhand.
I mean, that building's fairly big.
It's huge. It's at least 3 times the size. It probably has a similar amount of parking.
And you don't know how many spaces are on the other side of the old, or on the other side of the hair salon? The old credit union building?
Offhand, I
On the
don't.
north
I
side.
could guess. I could guess there's no more than 30 spaces, and that building's at least 3 times the size of this. Between the two, at least 3 times the size.
All right. What other landscaping elements have we got here? So you've got the honey log. There's a little bed going in front of parking spaces we were just talking about. There's a bed in front of the building. Is there anything else you're doing?
There was just by the
The sign.
sign we were going to plant.
What have you got going in by the sign?
I can't remember did I write something down on there?
You got new 4x4 planter and plant.
I think it was like. Oh, okay. There wasn't I didn't
U.
write in U.
Maybe it's
I think,
U.
I think that's what I put in.
Okay. Can you just talk to me about lighting, will you?
There's lighting on the building itself. There are LED lights on each of the columns.
Down lights?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. I believe there's 7 on.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Seven
7 on basically downward cast LED lights.
Okay. Is there anything in the parking lot anywhere else?
No, there's old street lamps on there, but we're not going to be utilizing those.
So those whatever other, when you say street lamps, you mean pole lights?
Yeah, they're pole lights, and they haven't.
And you're discontinuing those?
Yeah, we're discontinuing the use of those.
Are you tearing down the pole lights or just leaving them and not using them?
Right now, we're going to leave them and not use them just because of cost. But eventually, we will take those down. There's no power to them. at the moment. It would take a pretty big effort to get power to them because everything underneath is, that was taken
Oh,
out.
so they're already,
They're disconnected. yes.
they're not used even now.
Yes.
And where are they located?
Right here, there's the three circles, right? Three circles.
On the parking bay.
Yeah.
Just got to go back to those three circles. That block of 8 parking spaces there, obviously on the 4 closest to Putney Road, I presume you can't just drive through because there's a planter there.
Yes.
The other 4, could you just drive straight out?
The other 4.
The 4 furthest away from Putney Road.
Toward Downs Gods.
Here?
The next line.
These here?
Yeah, there's 4 there that, I mean, could you just drive forward?
No, there's a building in front of there. Well, you could,
The
but it'd be
building?
like a 7-point turn trying to get around.
Oh, so there's a building in front of all of that, is there?
Yeah, the sheer design building.
Right here?
Right in the
So
middle.
you couldn't do that. You'd have to reverse out and go around.
Now, that old drive-through right-of-way or road, that's on this property?
The drive-through, no, it's on the other. It's
It's
on the other property.
property.
So where is the, so this line that we have on this plan, that is the property line?
Yes.
So the drive-through portion of it, I mean, look, I thought that the drive-through was on there, or there was a right-of-way through there, but that's not the case?
No.
Is that grass or pavement?
Pavement.
It's all pavement?
Yes.
Well, my concerns, and I don't know about the rest of the board, my concerns at this point in time are the fact that we have excess parking spaces which the justification appears to be that the adjacent property is light and you happen to own or control both of them. Maybe there is adequate justification for going the extra 8 if we have a need that's created by an adjacent property parking. The second and third points that I have, just because I think this site we could do a little better with landscaping, with trees and shrubbery and that kind of thing. And the third thing is I'm somewhat concerned about the access or traffic flow from Putney Road onto the site, and then the potential of people trying to go what I'm going to call the wrong direction for a second. On this, what's it called, service road or service lane, or
It's adequate. It's the width of a road, or it's 11 feet, so 2 cars passing. 2 cars can certainly go by each other on it.
but you're running contrary to the flow of Western Avenue at that point. If you're going to Western Avenue, Putney Road, wrong place. This is like, to some degree, this is like what I just saw tonight when I came in. I was at the little crossroads up here, and somebody just pulled in on a no entry sign because it was probably quicker for them to get to their house that way, and someone was coming out. It's like, are you crazy? Why would you do that? But people seem to think they can.
Generally, with the flow, it's, I rarely see anybody going that way on that road just because it makes more sense
to go north on it.
Well, yes, and especially since taking the left out of there takes forever, and going to the light gets you out of there pretty quick. It has a pretty good pressure plate on it. So,
Do you feel a big need to change that to a 2-direction entrance?
people have used it forever as a 2-direction. When I spoke to the state, they had no problem with it.
That has, even though you've spoken to the state and you have no problem, we have not presented that to either the town police department here or fire department or any of the town public works that may review No, I don't think we have anyway, Grant. I mean, we were not considering that the use or the direction on that service road would change.
Okay.
It's conceivable that if you wish to change it, and we want to do that as a site plan, I would like to get the fire department's view and the police department's view of what they think about that.
Okay.
So from a simplicity standpoint, it would be better just to leave it the way it is, I think.
Okay.
Have everything going with the general flow of the traffic rather than try and create a two-lane service road.
I'm sorry, my apologies. It was my understanding.
No,
that
I don't.
When I spoke,
Were you aware that there was a proposal to change the service road into two-directional?
No, I wasn't.
And then, or bi-directional. And then, if someone's coming off Putney Road and pulling onto the site, they'll be able to pull on into anywhere along your frontage? Or is there
there's a giant curb that's the length of that. We haven't changed the curb in at all. It's there's this here is about is about a 2.5 foot high concrete curb with grass on it.
where we have here? That's existing, not coming out. I think that was coming out. Well, there was trees in there.
I'm sorry. This dotted line here is what we're proposing taking out. This here is a curb that's on Putney Road. There's a state right of way 11 feet onto our property.
Okay.
Or 11. Or it's actually state.
If you just to clarify to me, if you take your circulation arrow off of Putney Road onto the service road, you had previously had a planter along the front there that had some trees in it or something. You said that you were removing the trees.
Yeah,
the arborvitaes, they've been removed or they're
yeah.
coming out, and the planter that was there that was to contain those is staying or going.
The planter's
The planter where the trees
the
were.
planter's leaving. It was
So you're going to blacktop over that.
yes.
So one could therefore presume that you can now pull on or off into that parking lot from anywhere along that road. Anywhere along the service road.
No, because there's a curb there's a curb about this high that'll tear your car up. This entire thing here
Okay.
is a grass median and a curb.
This
All
thing
on
here.
Putney Road.
But let's say I'm in here. If I come in here, my car is sitting here. I could swing in here. I could swing in here. I don't have to come down and go around and back.
Right, exactly. Yes. Yeah. I thought you were-
No. I realise that this thing you're not going to go over. But this dotted here, that is all coming out.
Yeah.
So we now have free flow onto the site anywhere through that. Okay. Thank you. Who maintains the service road? The town?
The state's supposed to.
The state is supposed to.
Yes, but they've not paved it ever. It's a shambles. We patch it and we maintain it. We plow it.
You plow it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any member of the public wish to speak to this application?
I don't know if you're accepting comments from the public. but,
Please come forward. We are now.
Adam Hubbard, just knowing the site a little bit, and there was an observation was made that if you made the service road one way, cars coming southbound on Putney Road would not be able to turn into the light and then approach that place of business. They would have to go through the light and then enter from the southbound, the southernmost point. If I don't see the site plan, but from what I know, you would drive southerly and then have to come back through the site. Is that accurate? That's what you're saying. You're suggesting making
They're making this an entrance zone. This is permitted as an entrance zone.
and you're thinking about making two.
Making it a right-hand turn.
Yeah.
Do people go to the light and come backwards down the service road? Or do they swing around behind the building and come in the rear entrance? Are you following what I'm asking?
No, I guess not.
Okay, so let us say that I'm coming southbound on Putney Road and I wish to turn left across the oncoming traffic to gain access to this development. So I can turn left into basically in front of H&R Block
Yes.
at that light and then run around the back of the building and approach this development from the rear. Or, as Adam has just suggested, I could turn left and take a hard right and come down the service road in that direction. Is that what people normally do?
Yeah, generally people just enter that spot, and when they want to exit, they go to the lane. That's generally the traffic flow in that.
So it's a two-directional, or it's a bi-directional service road anyway.
Yeah.
Or is it just a free-for-all? I mean, there's no
It's
control
not
there.
a high speed.
No, okay, all right. I'm getting the pictures.
I always remember it as being the one way, in you could go in, but you couldn't come out that way. But
Going north or south?
what's that?
If you were going north or south?
Either way you can go in, you just couldn't get out that way, is the way that I always remembered that entrance. So in other words, you could be coming south on Putney Road and take a hard left and just kind of enter that property. Or you'd be coming north on Putney Road and just glide off into the property. That's the way that I've always remembered that.
So, okay, let me ask you a question, just to talk about that. So you're saying that I could be coming south on Putney Road, sorry, hold on. I could be coming south on Putney Road, and I can come in here.
Right.
So
It's a hard left.
I pass through the light and I dodge the oncoming traffic and cut over.
Yeah. Because the light always takes longer to turn, and then you can go straight through and then cut over, and that's the way that I've always seen that used. But it is narrow.
Or you could wait on the light and come backwards down the service road.
Sure.
Maybe I'm overstressing it. I think I'm overstressing it. So, but as far as the state is concerned, there's going to be no left turn coming off this side.
Yes.
So you need to post a no left turn sign somewhere out there.
Yeah, I've been to the offices down there a few times, and they keep saying something about the sign shop, and they haven't come back to me yet.
So is that going to be on your property or is that going to be on
That'll be on the state's property.
state property?
So basically, that whole access road is owned by the state.
Yes.
So what you're asking really, I mean, do we have control over that state access road?
Well, it's part of the site plan circulation to all intents and purposes. If the state decided that they wanted to make it one way, they could. And if they decided that it's two way, I don't think they care. Probably. Sounds like they don't care.
No.
They just don't.
They just didn't want people taking lefts because of that crest of the hill right there. It makes it very dangerous.
Risky, okay.
Yeah. It makes
How much
it
of that is going to change? Is there a roundabout or something going in there eventually somewhere?
Yeah, right in front of Sandry. I'm hoping.
That's further back.
Yeah.
Well, just the ways, it's not very far down from that entrance.
Yes. Yeah, I think that curb is probably going to disappear, and they were putting one in the middle, kind of in the middle of Bond Enterprises parking lot, is what I saw in the master plan.
Yeah. The other members of the board. So there should be one last question. The planter that's behind those 4 parking spaces, could that be extended to go behind all 8?
Sure, if that's what you'd like, we can certainly do.
Well, we just try and like to get these sites looking as nice and as
Oh, I would like it to look as nice as well.
and then you'll have a planter in front of the building, and you're going to have some shrubs and stuff underneath the ground side.
Yes.
Is there a possibility of removing the pavement between those 8 sites and in the center building?
No. It's just, you know, as far as cost right now, I'd really rather not.
Dr. Chard, any other?
Well, just that, I find the documentation to require an amazing amount of imagination beyond what we can see on the paper. And I would like to have seen
A better plan. This plan is excellent.
I don't have it.
You don't have the one? Oh, no, you do it here, this one. Just the site plan itself, I mean, the detail that was supplied for the development of the property was perfect, or was good. Okay, so any other members of the public wish to speak further to this? No. So with the comments, some of the comments that we have made, which I will document in the decision, I'm looking for a motion to approve application 2013-160. Moved. Second. Yep. So all those in favour? Aye. Aye. 400. Thank you very much. So we're asking for, you know, we'll talk about the lights, we'll talk about the planters, we'll talk about the parking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, full application must be Adam. Application 2013-243, Brattleboro Area Farmers Market.
Strips on the other side.
They won't be able to see it from here.
What's that?
They won't be able to see it from here.
Try to talk to her, do it, and put in a request for a bulletin board.
Unless the plans change, I think we have it.
We have,
We do.
yeah,
Has it changed?
they've not changed.
Please tell us about your application.
Good evening, I'm Adam Hubbard from Stevenson Associates, and I'm here with Tom Apple, Rob and Dick, and Franklin Crisco of the Farmers Market. And we are here for 3 applications, and perhaps a 4th if you deem necessary. The 3 applications are site plan approval, conditional use, and flood hazard area permit. The intent of the farmers market is to secure more property to provide more parking for their operation. There is some uncertainty on the Chase parcels where they currently park, though they have access to that for parking. And an opportunity arose with the Planet gas station for purchase. This is a great opportunity, actually, because they can do 2 things with the use of this property. 1 is provide more parking, and 2 is provide more visual access to their property, more visibility. So the goal is really quite simple, and that is to take down the canopy, remove the gas pumps, pull the tanks, and create parking for up to 30 spaces. Included in that is closing the curb cut closest to the current farmers market entrance. One of the other nice things about acquiring this property will allow them flexibility in the future should the Chase property ownership change or the conditions change. They would then have the opportunity to widen their current access. Currently, they have 2 lanes coming out on the Planet Gas property and 1 lane coming in on the Chase property. That 3 lanes is really important along Western Avenue, as we all know, so that cars turning left can stack up and cars turning right can slip out. Our proposal is to create a similar condition on the easterly curb cut. Both these curb cuts that exist are extraordinarily wide at the moment, so we would narrow the easterly one a little bit, but still provide enough width for 2 cars leaving, 2 cars wide leaving, and 1 car entering, leaving as well. While the opportunity here is tremendous for the farmers market, it also requires a pretty considerable outlay of money. So the other goal here is to make these changes with as least cost or as least investment as possible. So we will be providing a sidewalk along that westerly curb cut that will be closed, and a little bit of sidewalk where we close where we narrow the easterly curb cut. In terms of landscaping, nothing is proposed to be changed at this point. In terms of drainage, nothing is proposed to be changed at this point. We will include a trench drain. So currently the parking lot has a crown in the middle, and half of it sheds to the south, down over the bank and into the whetstone in a sheet flow manner. The other half flows northerly against the curb cut, and will provide a trench drain in that new sidewalk that will allow the stormwater to access the grate, the catch basin on the side of Western Avenue there. The signage will remain, and the lighting will remain as well. There will be no changes proposed to the gas station or to the convenience store at this time. I appreciated Mike Bukasi's comment. We were just given an email, and I appreciated his comment about turning around. While I'm not concerned about emergency vehicles with lights flashing, they could back out. They could turn around on Western Avenue with cars stopping. But I do think that it's good to provide an opportunity to turn around, and I think that could be achieved by simply making a no parking space next to the gas station that will be used for turnaround. We actually have enough room, dimensionally we have enough room to make that an extra wide space in front of the convenience store, so if the lot is full, a car can either pull in and back out, or back in and pull out. I think that's a good recommendation.
Is there, to pick up on that point, is there, like Mike and also Public Works would look for flow through or circulation through to the existing farmers market, which on the face of it, to me, seems like a very good idea.
That's a very good idea, and
so what would prevent us doing that?
That is the intent of the farmers market, is to create that access, but just not at this time, because it will require some considerable amount of fill cut out of this site and fill on the entrance, the current entrance side. So financially, it's a bit of a burden at this point.
So it's purely a financial consideration that we don't.
Yeah, it's the goal of it. Actually, that was one of the initial goals, and the initial ideas is just to be able to loop through. You pull in and then pull out.
If I could add to that too, the whole plan that would allow for that circulation would also make more sense if all the other property that Mr. Chase has now that Mark is renting were to be under the market's control. In ownership. Because of the cost of doing those changes to the existing entry, get the grades right, get the sub-base right, get the cost involved, would be really risky with just having a rental arrangement right now.
So when you're close to Western Avenue, no, I mean the right application, not Putney Road. I call it Putney Road, I'm sorry. When you're close to Western Avenue, the grade's not that far off. I mean, there's a sidewalk there, it runs through pretty much a level. So I don't know that there would be that much. You're concerned about the space because it's a single lane?
The once you pull off of Western Avenue into the market, the road dives fairly quickly, and there's a little bit of a bank up to the Planet Gas. You would, say if you were coming out of Planet Gas, you would want that entrance into the current farmers market to be back from Western Avenue a little bit, so that you can get aligned. You'd have the parking lined up along the road, but you would also want cars to be able to align before pulling out onto Western Avenue. And so in order for that to work, you would have to bring in about 6 feet of material. And then what Tom was saying is that also has to work with Jonathan Chase's property. You wouldn't want to build up Jonathan Chase's property. You wouldn't want to build up the gas station property without building up Jonathan Chase's property. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to flow through into the current parking on Mr. Chase's property.
So you would be looking to put that access closer to the rear of the current Planet,
That's right.
where the dumpsters are, I think, now, or something?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep.
Keep moving.
I have a list of questions, but
Okay. Maybe I'll get to them, and then
you'll get to my questions. You may answer them before I get there.
Yeah. Well, I don't. If they're site plan questions, I don't have much more other than. I think actually that's all I had. Oh, Steve Barrett's comment. While it's generous of him to allow the farmers market to put sidewalk on town property,
You don't think you're going to do that, right?
we're not in the position.
I wouldn't have expected you to.
And while I
think
while I appreciate the suggestion of making the sidewalk 5 feet, that would be the only 5-foot section of sidewalk between downtown Brattleboro and Academy Schools and Wilmington, maybe.
You obviously haven't been down the rest of Western Avenue recently. It's all 5 feet.
And where was
I think if we take the broad picture, or sort of a holistic view, that ultimately it would be nice to have a sidewalk that connected up and didn't stop in free space as they tend to sometimes. And if Mr. Barrett is proposing the section of town property from there to the Creamery Bridge where the sidewalk is probably 3 feet and not 5 feet.
Or none.
Well, there's a funky thing there that they did. One day it would be nice if it all joined up and you could walk through the Creamery Bridge and across to the parking lot that you have on the other side and
Yep.
generally be. But right now there is no, as you point out, there is no sidewalk on the town parking area adjacent to.
Would be nice to coordinate that.
Yeah.
If we could, Steve could, if he had it, could see his way to do it next summer. It'd be nice to do it all at once.
I don't know that the town has
Yeah,
the the sidewalk budget to do anything, but you're not proposing putting sidewalk on the
easterly portion?
on the easterly portion?
No.
To the boundary line?
No. There's sidewalk that exists there, but the main foot traffic comes behind the existing. If you were coming from the Mallory lot or the Creamery Bridge or even this gravel town parking, you would walk down a path on the backside of the convenience store to access the market.
Okay.
There's a bunch of utility poles and guy wires along there as well. It's not very smooth.
How would you like me to talk about my questions? Or
Yeah. I think the
on site plan.
On site plan, the other issues are just conditional use and flood hazard area.
What was the fourth?
Well, there's
potentially fourth.
Potentially fourth would be a waiver for parking in the front yard setback. I'm not sure a waiver is deemed necessary as it is currently existing.
I think one of the things that we look at is that the current use, which is although grandfathered in, is no longer existing. So to all intents and purposes, we fall back to the underlying zoning requirements and regulations.
What do you mean it's no longer existing?
The gas station?
Yeah.
Well, you're ceasing the gas station.
Yeah.
we are ceasing the gas station and turning it into a neighborhood store / parking area for the farmers market.
Yeah.
So, if you were to look at the non-conforming use, the gas station in that area, the non-conforming use goes away. Because
Why is that?
why is it going away?
If you bought a
Because
if you bought a gas station here, you'd be able to operate as a
Absolutely.
gas station.
Are you buying a gas station? Are you going to run a gas station?
No.
So, therefore, that use goes away. There will be no gas pumps, there will be no canopy, there will be no tanks. Am I correct in assuming that? They will be removed.
But there would be paving.
It'll be less non-conforming than it is now.
That, still, when the use goes away, it's a change of use occurring here. And the change of use is to a conditional use in the underlying zoning. What was there today is a non-conforming use. Grandfathered in because it was a gas station, whenever it was a gas station, possibly before zoning or whatever. So we would look at it as granting you or going through the conditional use criteria for what you want to do and approve that or otherwise. And the fact that there was parking there or a access road or driving up to pumps, which you wish to turn into parking, we'll consider, and if we need to do a waiver for it, we'll do a waiver for it. There was not parking there as it existed for the convenience store. It was, a drive-through for a park, pretty close, right? It was blacktop. I don't disagree with that.
And
It's clearly blacktop.
And there is parking on the
On the rear.
on the easterly portion and on the westerly portion.
Okay,
Both.
yeah, that's.
So
We
you'd
shall consider-
you'd like us to get a waiver? Is that what you're suggesting?
I think we'll do that.
Yep.
Then it's clean. My questions for you are a number. The first is if I was to park for the farmers market here to attend the farmers market, how do I get from this parking lot to the farmers market? Do I run down the bank, or are you putting steps in, or what's the approach path? I'm not going to go to the path. I'm not going to walk backwards away. Naturally, I wouldn't walk backwards away from the parking lot to go to the path behind the store. Am I going to go to the sidewalk and walk down the road, or?
I think the way would be the way it currently exists. If you were to access on foot, you would either walk down the access road, the current access road, or walk down the path to the rear of the park. But I think in the future plan, the idea is to remove the sumac from along that bank, and I presume foot access will be established coming down that bank.
It's not an improved path, but
Steep dirt
it's
path.
from the dumpsters, right down to so people do cut through.
So there's a man-made path there from, see if I can get there quicker than the next guy, and go a path down through the bank there.
Or coming up to use the bathroom or something.
Okay. So I think that we should see somewhere on here, whatever it is that you plan as a method of access for people to walk down and approach it. The next question I had, you talked about removing the sumac
Can I
on that
ask
bank.
just a question about what you're asking? So, if we have a plan to drive down through that and having a path there, are you asking for a plan for what's going to happen?
No, just some of the things that we consider when we're doing conditional use or site plan approval is circulation of both pedestrians and traffic.
So I was asking whether you want them both together. Here's our hope for what we're going to do for traffic and the walking through, or do you want something?
If that's the way that you deem it will end up being, then draw it that way. If you would like an independent path and
Gotcha.
and steps, then notify it that way. I mean, that's not. I'm not trying to define how you would wish to do it. I'm just saying that I would imagine right now that if knowing humans as we are, we're going to take the shortest line that we can do to get there, which is probably through a bunch of sumac and down a bank, and you'll have a path there before you know it.
It's there.
It's there. And where is that on this plan? Where is the there? Just the squiggly line?
Not too far from about here.
Right here, so there's a park there. Right. Talk to me about removing sumac. What, do you have a plan for replacing it with other forms of vegetation?
We do not. I think it would become a mowed bank is what it
Doesn't
is.
the sumac stabilize that bank?
I think there's a bunch of underbrush as well. And I expect that the sumac would be removed and then it would be a mowed bank, much like the rest of the parking from Chase's down and on the backside of the where the path is coming down from the gravel parking lot.
And just stormwater runs off the back of the lot onto that bank?
That's right.
So we don't have any form of filtration or stormwater management there, it just runs into the sumac?
Yeah, sheet flow over
Sheet
the
flow.
surface, and they haven't had problems with surface drainage there. And actually, the sheet flow would be preferable because you have so much pervious material and space on the farmer's market. It would be preferable to have water sheet flow over the bank than to collect it, capture it, and discharge it in a concentrated flow. Not to mention it would be cheaper to its current.
We don't consider money at this point. Unfortunately, it's not one of our criteria, not a zoning criteria. We are sensitive to it. If the regulations say thou shalt treat the stormwater, then thou shalt treat it. Unfortunately, you know that.
Yeah, but even in a existing, I understood that to be new development.
Not quite the case. Current regulation is what is applied. If current regulations say thou shalt do, or thou shalt, I mean, if regulations change, there are situations where it's not even grandfather. But, for example, I mean, I'll give you a little example. The signage on this site is not conforming. That sign, it's a plastic, internally lit thing that's much larger than that's allowed in the district. So when the time comes, well, I think actually the sign has to go once the business goes. How many weeks is it? 2 months or something?
No, it's 3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks. I mean, the sign in theory is to go within 3 or 4 weeks. And then when you come back with a new sign permit, it'll have to conform. So, and I would imagine that the farmers market will probably consolidate its signage along there and do something with what's on the Chase lot and what's here and come up with something really nice. It would make sense. But I'm not trying to deal with that now. I'm thinking about those are the kind of things that change with this type of.
I would still maintain that the most effective treatment of the stormwater at this point would be to let it continue in its existing.
Just sheet off.
Just sheet off and overland. Again.
Who would make that final decision about what the most effective way is?
Well,
We don't have.
At a certain level, you go to the state, but currently the town has a regulation that it's being engineered for a 10-year storm.
yeah.
Treatment for a 10-year storm.
Presently, the only problems we have with flooding there don't come off the planet at all, but come off of Western Avenue. Because the storm drains don't actually catch it, but they're higher than the existing shoulders. So all that water off the avenue runs into the market, and that's what causes all that flooding. None of it comes off the planet.
Far west end, down on off the Chase property.
Yep.
None of that goes to the planet. None of the water off Western Avenue goes to the planet. It all goes, all the water in front of the planet goes to the shade, to the drain.
Would you speak up, please?
Sorry.
Could you
The wa-
speak up?
Yeah, the water from Western Avenue doesn't go on to the Planet Gas property because it's crown. The water there heads toward the storm drain, sort of, that's right in front of where the pumps are. The water that comes off of Western Avenue comes down the Chase lot because that storm drain, which is sort of halfway under the road park of Chase, there's a storm drain there. But it's crowned really high.
But those, when you say storm drain, that's just culverts running into the brook ultimately, right?
That's municipal drainage, yeah.
Is it, it's municipal, it's not town stormwater, no?
Town stormwater, yeah, yeah.
What's your rough?
I expected discharges out of the bank before the Creamery Bridge. I don't know exactly. Yeah, I can see it right here on the plan. Right at the gravel parking area, you can see a 15-inch corrugated metal pipe. It says culvert, no easement found. It'd be nice if
So, removing you have no erosion worries or anything like that, putting a grass bank in there, take it out. How far around would you go? Go around to the back of the convenience store to clear that out? I mean, because clearly at some point in time we have to have a stabilised bank for the brook the closer you get. So you'd leave the sort of, let's call it scrubby woodland that's behind the convenience store that people have a path through at the moment. Just leave that alone.
I almost wonder if you would make a grass bank all the way around so that people coming westbound could also see down through where the information booth is, could maybe see down, get a glimpse of the market there as well. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because at some point you wish to maintain a stable bank to the brook on the on the north or the north
eastern
side
and north side of the brook, and that would probably be on the other side of the path that you walk down. So on the brook side of that path, if you come down the slope there, you would maintain the more vigorous rooted trees. The aesthetically, sumac is one of the least desirable plants.
It's a weed.
It's a weed.
Yeah. No, I don't have.
It looks unkempt. It's really.
I don't think we have an objection with you removing sumac. It's just a consideration in terms of erosion and what's going in its place, whether you plant shrubs or whether you grass and mow or
It'd be
lots of considerations.
a mowed grass bank. Weed whack probably. It's probably too steep for mowing.
Okay, and along Route 9, you have a so nicely put lawn.
A grass strip.
That's lawn, is it?
Maybe I should put grass strip.
Grass strip.
Yeah. Or a snow belt is another way to put it.
Lawn to an Englishman conjures up tennis or bowls or something like that. There is no lawn here. This is a grass strip.
A grass strip, yeah.
Can we get some shrubs in there? Along here, low-lying, beautification.
My concern with that would be the durability. The plows come rumbling down here at 30 miles an hour, and it's just not going to survive.
Can we get some shrubbery in there that will survive? I'll tell you something that we have recently had another application which your firm is handling, where shrubs are proposed along the edge of Western Avenue.
Whereabouts?
Vermont Country Deli. The other gas station that's just been
Shell
closed.
station.
Yeah.
The Shell station that's gone. There's a lawn strip going in there, and the lawn strip is being populated with shrubs, as proposed in the concept plan, concept review plan, which got favourable review by this board just 1 month ago.
Yeah. Again, I would ask some leniency from the board here. That there's the next landscape area is the Creamery Bridge, which is quite nice, but in this area we have the current gravel parking lot and the town gravel parking lot. I don't believe that putting shrubs in there is going to visually going to be improving things a whole lot, and it just it's a little different.
Disagree with you.
It's a little different than the country deli in that they have a building up on the street next to it, and it just feels different. It's a different intersection. It's a different street character. I suppose shrubs can be put here, but I don't know the value of it.
A question on that, when we have landscape lines in general, not just a strip like this, we also have a standard prepared for making sure they stay alive and everything.
Yep.
Have you had experience then with something in a zone like this that's going to get snow from both sides and salt? How do you, or do you have a performance standard at that point?
Yeah, that they'd be replaced if they die.
Yeah.
That's the performance standard. You know, it's whatever we agree on a site plan shall be, maintained in good
So that's
health.
always
What's the phrase? Dead and dying landscaping shall be replaced and maintained in whatever way. I mean, I think the thing here is really the Creamy Bridge area is very well kept and very pretty or beautiful, and that's partly maintained by the town and partly maintained by the gardening ladies, volunteers. The section of town parking lot adjacent to the information booth has barrels outside it that are funded and provided by the West Brattleboro Association and are fed and grown by Dick Gray and a number of other people that do that. So they make that section pretty, right down to the gas station. And then we're going to have a parking lot here, certainly Saturday mornings. It would be nice to have some kind of continuation or break or barrier that continues on down this stretch of grass. Whether that is summer planters that are a continuation of the barrels that run in front of the other thing, or whether it's shrubs that you put in there because, Adam, you're an expert in that field and you know exactly what will look great and flower beautifully in the fall and survive the snowplows.
I'll have to talk to the designers of the country deli plan. I can't think of it.
But the concept of planters,
Seasonal.
I'm looking for something that breaks up breaks up visually to some degree what's going to be a parking lot. Presuming that we have the discussion about the number of parking spaces, it's all fine.
We have every interest in landscaping it.
Yeah.
We would just like to see how all the rest of the pieces come together and do an integrated landscaping. And once we see what we have, we want to make it visually appealing from the road, open up the market visually to the road, and make it pretty there. We have every intention.
I think if you remove the sumac on that bank, which is scrub, then you will get a nice visual view down there, and what would be proposed along the road here would be relatively, I'm not expecting trees, low level.
I guess I would refer to the current parking that they have on Chase's lot, which has, I believe, some boulders and some fence posts along the Western Avenue side, and it's not unappealing to me, in my eye. I think that's a reasonable treatment of the parking there. I would suggest doing something similar. However, if shrubs would please the board, we can find shrubs that please the board.
Shrubs would probably please the board, in some sense or another. You're on a narrow margin here tonight. You've got to get all of us liking you. Okay, well, the other. No, I'm just teasing. The lighting. You have lighting on this.
There is a light post there.
There's two.
There's two.
Yep. One other end of the parking lot.
One is a municipal one, and one is a private one, or are they both?
They both. I'm pretty sure they both belong to.
Oh yeah.
Those remain.
Those may.
They don't, I mean, you really don't have need for them.
We're not gonna need them, no.
Well,
But
the store operation,
Yes, we know.
A store,
I
right?
mean, we're need, for security lighting, yes.
Okay. And it's intended to put a neighborhood store in this location? At some point?
Operated by a member of the farmer's market. Would be an extension, more mostly an extension of the market activity. And market type products as opposed to 7-Eleven, certainly not 7-Eleven. In fact, we have constraints on who we can lease it to our fund.
it has to meet the condition of the farmer's market, even up there. And we're happy with that.
And that would be year-round use, 365? You're
That's
thinking?
We're putting together an RFP right now.
Okay.
We've had some people show interest, so.
The only consideration, or a consideration, is hours of operation. Neighborhood stores tend to be restricted in terms of hours of operation. We don't like them to go to 11 o'clock at night. Typically it's 8 or 9, right? Something like that. Hello, Brian.
I'm not sure, Tim.
Okay. I think we look at it in terms of it's not anticipated that it'd be a gas station, so, or not a gas station, but a convenience store until 11. A neighbourhood store tends to close at neighbourly hours, which are, although this is not a high density residential area here, it's across the other side. So maybe there's an 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock restriction on time
Yeah,
wise.
I'd like to
In
know-
the evening.
I'd like to include that into your RFP. So, I'll give you a call.
I think that there may be a similar plan for the Shell station, to also put some sort of neighborhood
Yep.
store in there, so you folks might want to coordinate, make sure you're not fighting each other.
Yeah.
They're a little distance apart still.
Yeah,
A little distance apart.
if you're on foot,
No, their application has included the use of their existing, or even refurbishing existing building as a neighbourhood store. But it'll be a different kind of neighbourhood store if yours is farmers market oriented. As you probably heard the previous application, the number of technically the number of parking spaces exceeds that which is required for a neighbourhood store. But we're looking at this as an expansion of, by the zoning code, by the book, it's 70 square feet, and we've got permission for 6 spaces. And this site plan is got more than that really. The justification for that is we're servicing the adjacent lots, or we're servicing the adjacent market. Are you changing the impervious surface at all?
Asphalt and gravel are both treated as impervious surface, and that will be determined based on the extent of damage with the removal of the pumps and the tanks. If the existing asphalt is in such a condition that it doesn't make sense to patch or shim coat over top coat, then the asphalt will be removed and it will be gravel parking. Most likely it will be gravel parking, and that will be keeping.
For the entire site? You just rip the entire site up?
Maybe,
Yeah.
depends, we'll have to see how the excavation goes.
Yeah, if the excavation goes and it's patchable and cost effective to put patches in, they may do that.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, which is unknown, is just the environmental testing after the taxable. You don't know yet.
Well, you understand the property is currently in the program, the state program for contamination. And the petroleum cleanup fund. We expect that in the spring that will be, the spring round of testing will show that we're under standards for the three areas that we're concerned about right now. That's a funded program, the deductibles met by previous owners. And so it's just a matter of monitoring at this point, they're monitoring wells in place. As far as the pool is concerned, any spill that was attributable to the tanks from filling and that sort of thing is also covered under that program, and that'll be analyzed at the time of the pull.
Yeah, I wasn't so much worrying about the pull. It's just whether there's contamination there already. I mean, there's wells in there already?
Yes, it's been understudied by ECS Environmental 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Any provision for bike parking, people that ride here? Bicycle parking? They would ride
We presently have a pretty large bicycle parking area, and we
down at the market.
Yeah, so we encourage that.
We need to go through the additional use criteria.
You want me to go through conditional use criteria?
Do you have it to hand? I'm looking for the piece of paper. Do you have it to hand?
Yes.
Oh, good. Please do.
So, how will the project affect capacity of existing or planned municipal facilities? Now, the existing municipal facilities consist of that existing gravel parking and the Creamery Bridge and Memorial Park. I think the interspersed in that string of property is also the Mallory lot. It can almost be said that the farmers market provides a municipal service. It's not an individual corporation. It's a bunch of community members, and having more parking and having more open space seems like it would be in the interest of the town. If there are events such as the 4th of July where there's overflow parking or people don't want to cross, since with that nice new bridge with the difficulty getting in and out, maybe people would like to park on this side of the road. So this is very sympathetic to municipal planned, existing municipal facilities. How will the character of the area be affected? The conversion of a gas station convenience store to a farmer's market seems to be in keeping with our community goals. Removing the canopy, most of all, I think you'll notice a really nice improvement.
Yep.
And the gas station as well, and the curb, reducing the curb cuts. You know, I don't know if I stressed it enough that currently some of the traffic problems are attributed to just confusion and having 3 curb cuts. Having 2 curb cuts and a clean entrance and exit will, I think, improve that area a little bit. I'm not denying that the farmers market traffic is not going to go away. That's a real and future issue. But as a personal aside, busyness and traffic are often a sign of good things happening.
I think it's a positive that we're reducing the curb cut, the traffic confusion at that point. That's a benefit.
Or in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the next question. Sorry. How will the project affect traffic? Yeah.
I just answered that for you.
Yeah, thank you. We've been through how the project will comply with the zoning bylaws, I believe.
And there's no use of renewable energy here, or no impact on renewable energy.
I don't believe.
I don't think so.
I don't believe there will be an impact on renewable energy. I would actually maybe ask. Has anybody ever answered that question?
Yeah, everybody does all the time.
Returning to use A, the parking, it's in part you're seeking approval based on the statement that it would be available for Memorial Park, high-use events, etc. What, I don't know, would it be necessary? So essentially, you're saying that it will remain open for public use.
It presently is, we get a lot of people parking here.
Right, and that's it. And I just wondered, Tim, does that have to be a condition in anything that it will remain open? I mean, I don't see any reason you'd want to close it, but then again, the future's not ours.
But then, if you say, if you have a condition that it's available to the public, then you have to define the restrictions based on the markets use of it and so forth. I think that could get kind of thorny.
Well, I don't.
It seems to work okay as it is. That if you could imagine an event that would require the market to, say, the night before, cordon it off because of something they were doing, an activity the next day, certainly they'd be allowed to do that. And failing that, it was then open to the public with no quarrel from the market. So,
Well, this doesn't exist as a parking lot right now. So I mean, what you said, I think. Well, let me just address it in the best way I can. I think that we will put a finding of fact in a finding in our decision that states that the parking will be available for public use but not used by the public.
but what about the business that's there? It's not fair to them.
The business.
The business is more year-round neighborhood store.
And if you had an event, a municipal event that provided a restriction for their customers, it might be uncomfortable, especially with so much other parking around it. I think the mutual agreement situation works very well.
You've raised this as a benefit to the municipality with this parking lot in your criteria and your response to the criteria. And I think it's in the same way that some people park on town parking. Are we expecting a problem here?
I don't actually. I have no idea whether there might come some. Well, I just wondered. But I guess. All right, maybe we can all live. Like on the 4th of July. In fact, the events get pretty crowded through the day with the softball and everything else going on there. But the store is still open. And so there'd be a little bit of, some park people might want to park it. So one day there might be a conflict. I just want to avoid. We could just, I don't know how.
I think we struck it. Brian, yes. It's a private lot.
Yeah.
End of story, it's a private lot. The fact that you may let somebody park there is your good naturedness. I mean, so as such, it's not a public town lot and not available. It's a private lot, clearly. Sorry, Brian.
Exactly, Tim. We never compel people to make their property available to other people. It's a really nice benefit if people are volunteering to do that when it's plausible, but it's really beyond the scope of the code to compel that.
So really, as a conditional use benefit to the users of Memorial Park, I think we will just drive the line through that.
Thank you.
As polite and nice as that is,
Yes.
and I have no doubt people will do that.
Right.
But
Informal.
informally, yeah. So clearly the conditional use criteria, I think, are brought to that. Can we just go back to the parking? There's two elements of the parking. First of all, we have an excess in parking for the actual use, but it's really servicing the function of the adjacent lot or the adjacent market. Or do we consider this lot just part of the market? Because it's owned by, will be owned, or is owned, or is about to be owned.
Same ownership.
Same ownership.
Correct.
It's much like it might be useful to remember the Mallory lot, which is a standalone lot that is simply used for parking and open space. And it's under farmer's market control and it's just parking.
Yeah, and looking at that with in the scope of our parking regulations doesn't warrant approval because there's 50 cars or 100 cars or whatever the number is there on one day of the week for 5 months of the year or 7 months of the year, and the rest of the time it's empty. Right? Pretty much.
I don't understand the logic of limiting the number of parking spaces in something which is designed as a parking lot.
But this is, I think the thing is, we have a conditional use for a building that is a neighbourhood store. And if we were to look at the building criteria, it's 1,000 square feet and it's one business and therefore it gets 6 spaces. And they're asking for 30, but we're saying, yes, Brian.
It could be approved as a satellite parking facility so long as it's memorialized, preferably in the land records.
It's actually addressed in what would be the lease for the store operator. So there's precedent for that.
Okay. 30 spaces it is, or 29 if you're going to have, you have a turnaround of some description or a reverse. And ultimately there's a goal to have circulation flow through.
Connect, yeah.
We will enter a finding to that effect that you will come back at some point with a revised site plan to rework, hopefully, things move forward, to rework the exit out of it. What, any other questions from members of the board?
What did we resolve from that grass strip?
What did we resolve?
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of conversation about.
I'd like it either to be, a vegetative buffer that's beyond lawn, i.e. shrubs or seasonal.
I spent a moment thinking about that and wondering if perhaps some perennials such as daylilies might be an applicable treatment.
That would be very nice.
Something hardy and
something hardy that comes up every year
and then gets mowed down.
And they can get mowed down. Yeah. And then maybe seasonally you could, once the daylilies are gone, you may choose to put barrels there or something. Just so it breaks it up. Yeah. Or boulders or whatever it was. Grow boulders.
And posts.
Green ones, posts.
It's a farmer's market, we know about a split rail fence.
Yeah, split rail fence.
Yeah, it's destined for disaster. It gets pushed over by the first snowplow that goes through.
Okay, that's
anyway, that sounds like a solution. We got a solution. And stormwater remains a sheet flow. The surface is going to be impervious in some level or another. You're not reducing. Are you reducing in any way the existing?
We actually, in the end, we might. You'll see that you can see that from the plan there are we call it a gore. These leftover segments of pavement that are unused around the back of the store. If we go to gravel, those would probably be removed. Those might be removed in any way. There's triangular leftover areas. So, if anything, we will reduce. Well. Overall, I can see we're adding a little over on the corner there, so we will not increase impervious surface on the site.
What's the area of the site? What area is paved? Under an acre?
Under an acre.
Okay. Any member of the public wish to speak to this application? Looking for a motion to approve application 2013-243.
Second.
Floods Hatchment, sorry. 1 second. You have an elevation certificate for me? You You will require an elevation certificate.
We have a flood elevation certificate, and we also, you want to talk about the waiver?
The parking waiver?
The,
Or the flood?
the dimensional waiver for parking in the front yard setback?
Yes. Can we just do flood hazard?
That'd be a separate motion.
Yeah. Just a motion. Or we could just flood site plan. Just in terms of flood hazard, we have a series of flood hazard criteria, all of which you meet.
I can tell you that we've done the surveying and tied into 2 benchmarks, and the base flood elevation at the cross-section right at that market is 412 feet, and the floor elevation is 415.07 feet, 3 feet above base flood elevation, well above the 1 foot above necessary.
Okay. Let me re-ask the question. Assuming that the first floor elevation is at 415, it's slab. It's a slab.
Slab,
Right?
yeah.
Is there any mechanical equipment, air conditioning equipment, tanks that are propane, unsecured propane tanks?
There is a rack of propane tanks that I assume will be removed at one point.
That looks like
but
it.
outside there are no mechanical equipment. There's no mechanical equipment.
I think there's air conditioners at the back of it, isn't there?
Lowest elevation of machinery or equipment servicing the building is 415.07. That's inside.
So grade is 415. So grade, if you like.
Floor elevation, lowest adjacent grade next to the building is 414.83. That is still 2
feet above base flood elevation.
2.8.
So we're 1 foot clear.
Yeah.
And that certificate is current, is it? It's just been done.
We just did it, yeah. Waiting for the stamp. That was. Yeah.
Where's the dumpster storage going in? That's the site. Presumably there's some kind of a dumpster for the store.
Currently it's around the back side of it.
It's on the west side.
Southwest.
So the other criteria for flood, danger to life and property due to increased flood heights, we're above height. There's no construction there's nothing being added here, right?
That's right.
Danger that materials may be swept onto other lands or downstream to the injury of others. So if there was propane tanks or whatever it is, then it would be secured. I don't know whether there is or there isn't.
There's not at this time.
Not at this time. Water supply and sanitation systems are sufficient under flood conditions. It's town water, town sewer, right?
Town sewer.
All services provided by the proposal to the community, it's existing. The necessity of the facility flood waterfront location is existing. The availability of alternative locations not subject to flooding for proposed use is existing. The availability of proposed use for the existing development and development anticipated in the foreseeable future, it's existing. The relationship of the proposed use to the town plan insofar as it has been developed, it conforms to the town plan. Safety of access to the property in times of flood for ordinary and emergency vehicles. They have access from Route 9. Expected heights of velocity of the flood water is expected at the site. We're above flood elevation, so we're not expecting any. If it is, it's going to be on lower down. The costs of providing governmental and public services during and after flooding, we're not anticipating any costs. And such other relevant features. So I think we apply adequately. We just need a copy of the certificate. Brian, parking waiver we do independently or do it as part of site plan?
I'm not really sure it's entirely necessary. While the parking area was developed as part of a convenience store, it is a continuing non-conforming use. There's no proposal. There hasn't been any discontinuance, and there isn't any proposed.
There was no parking in the setback.
Well, there was both parking and there was circulation.
Left and right or on the front? There's no left and right. But you're proposing a dozen spaces down the front. Right, so that's what we need to just deal with. I mean, the left and right, we could say, well, maybe we said before, what's the setback? 20?
Well, there was also parking underneath the canopy, so left, right, and front. It's just thought.
The shrug from the clerk of the court. Or was it the clerk? The clerk. I think we should approve it. Do a waiver and do it.
Okay.
Just so that it's clean. They're absolutely clean. There's no, that was the way it was in 20 years before. No? Yes, no?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we would just look at waiver criteria.
Yeah.
We're going to fail those?
The reasonable use of the property is only possible if the DRB grants a waiver of the dimensional requirement rather than the applicant complying with the dimensional requirement. The goal of the market is to increase parking capacity, and by not allowing half that parking would compromise their ability to function as an organization. Is that pertinent review?
What is the minimum reduction? This is the minimum, of course.
That's the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't push this further back and have access on this side, circulation or access on this side.
You would lose spaces on the backside.
What is the gap between this is the appropriate size between your rear parking and your front parking?
Yes, it's a 60-foot. This is a 60-foot double-loaded parking with a 24-foot aisle, and we have this allows us to actually increase the setback and provide that grass strip in a more substantial manner than it was before.
Did you not create this waiver yourself, or the requirement for this waiver? I don't think so.
Well, you want me to keep going?
Should we grant the waiver that the proposed project conforms to the purpose of the zoning district? Farmers market is a additional use in the district?
Yes, it is.
And you're going to have, this will have no adverse effect on surrounding properties and property values, character and aesthetics of the neighbourhood, traffic patterns and circulation. It improves public health, safety and utilities. It will not impact stormwater management, we've already addressed. It doesn't change stormwater management. Water and wastewater capacity is not impacted because we're not increasing the use on the site. So, any other questions from members of the board? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve application 2013-243. Site plan approval with some of the conditions we talked about. Flood hazard approval. Conditional use, change of use from convenience store to neighbourhood store, and front yard setback for parking.
You have flood hazard.
I did flood hazard. Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favour? Aye. Aye. 4-0. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, and it's definite improvement in the area. Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time.
Pleasure.